Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Melissa Knits for Fun. Today I'm gonna get kind of right into the knitting content. I made my oldest son Brandon watch some of my videos to get some feedback, and his response was, if this were a hunting video, I would have already gone away because I want hunting content. I don't want to hear about your life. So I am going to move my personal stories to the end, to where you can make the choice. If you want to hear about my personal stories, what's going on in my life, you are more than welcome to stay, because I will tell you all about what's going on. And if not, no harm, no foul, no bad feelings, right? You can just stop the video at that point and go along. The same with the yarn acquisitions. I won't have yarn acquisitions every single week because I just won't. I will have, people have asked about my stash, and you can see I've added this shelf right here. And what I will do is I will change out the yarn on that every week, and I'll talk a little bit about it. It will be yarn from my stash. The yarn that's up there right now, that is yarn that I bought for the Arkansas yarn crawl last week. And so I will be talking about each one of those. There's a couple that aren't up there because I only had one skein of it, so I didn't put it up there. And I'll talk about all of that after we get through the whips. In fact, the name of this episode will be Whips, Whips Everywhere, Not a Finished Object in Sight. If you got the reference for that from the poem, kudos. As the only part of the poem I know. So I cannot recite the rest of the poem, but I just wanted to, give a little nod. I thought it was just a little funny play on that poem. So, talking about what I'm wearing, I'm going to stand up so that you can see this beautiful, beautiful color work and these nice little, I don't know what you'd call these, but they're just little bumps, right, of fabric. And you also see, before I sit down, I want you to see how well this goes together. You see this really beautiful pink, and then you see it in here, right? So it really goes together. This top is, and I'm gonna look at my phone real quick because I just keep forgetting, although now it just popped into my mind. It's called the Kindred tee. I knitted it last year, and it is by Briana, Arlene. And as usual, everything I talk about today, all of the projects, I'll list below with links to them on Ravelry. All the yarns I'm going to talk about, I will list them, but I'm not going to link to any particular store. We all know how to Google. You can Google and find the yarn. And if not, if you want to know where I bought it and you want some recommendations, then just reach out to me and I will be happy. You can follow me, you can get me on Instagram under Melissa Knits for Fun, and it does have underscores underneath each one. Email me at melissanknitsforfun@gmail.com. This yarn is Jim's Luxe, and they are out of Mississippi. I'm drawing a blank on where we stayed. We went on a girls' trip. There are 3 of us that go on a girls' trip every year. We're kind of like the 3 Musketeers. It's my best friend, Michelle, who lives near me. Not quite near enough because she lives 45 minutes away from me up north. But she lives here, and my friend Teresa, who lives in the Boston area. We were on our girls' trip last year, and we stopped and stayed the night in Mississippi, and we found this yarn store called Agape. And this is their yarn. It is beautiful. They got some really gorgeous colorways, and I've seen them at a bunch of different festivals. They were in Chicago at YarnCon this year, which I happened to be able to go to. And they do sell it all online as well. They have several different bases. I think this is their plain, like their superwash DK. But it just knitted up absolutely beautiful, and I really, really love these colors together. And this pattern is also beautiful and so much easier than it looks. I really enjoy the fact that there are designers out there that make really intricate patterns, but they're much easier than they look. But boy, they look like they're really hard. Case in point. And I showed this last week, and I have learned how to do picture-in-picture. So I'm a little bit over this way so that I'm going to put pictures up here of all these things that I'm talking about so that you can see the Ravelry pictures. But I showed this last week, and this one I will show you of me wearing it. I've got a little video. I'm not sure if I'll do the video or just the picture, but this I showed last week. This is the test knit that I'm doing. I think Janeloudi is how you pronounce it, and it's by Kirsten-Michele. This is knitted in Holst Garn, super soft in the color Sapphire and White. And I'm going to fold this down just so I can show you and not hide my face quite so much. Look at that stitch definition. Look at how beautiful those colors pop. I did block this and it just bloomed out so beautifully. It is absolutely gorgeous. I will go outside, even though I'm going to tell y'all, going outside knits this week is pretty hard because we in the South have been living on the surface of the sun the last week. It is so incredibly hot, but I will go outside. I will put this on after blocking, and I will put a picture of both it pre-blocked and post-blocked. It's not super, super dramatic, but like things just lay better, the hem looks better, and so you'll kind of see the power of blocking. So that one, I'm gonna pick up the sleeves and try to get this done within the next week or so. If it's not next episode that I have this finished as a finished object, it'll be the episode after that. I don't have anything finished today. This is all about whips. And I knew I had a bunch of whips. I did not know that I had this many whips. And if you are new to the knitting world, or you just don't know what whips means, it is work in progress. So it is, what are the things that you have on your needles right now that are not finished? And I'm not frogging any of these. All of these will be finished. This is not a finish or frog video. This is a, hey, I have whips everywhere. I've got to get this under control. Now, that's my test knit. I have 16 or 17 total. So I'm not going in any particular order, but I am going to grab one that it has languished for a while, and it's kind of been on the needles the longest maybe. I cast this on. Ozark Knitting Company did a knit along for a cardigan, and I had bought a sweater quantity of this Let Loopy. This is color 57, and I guess I could turn it up right so you could read it. It is a very rustic yarn, but it is a cardigan, and I want something nice and cozy, and it does soften up when you block it. Again, one of those yarns that's never going to be super soft, you know, merino soft, but it did soften up. And so I've got this on my needles. It's called Great Love. You can see I've split it for sleeves, and you can see it's just lightly textured. It's just a really nice little cardigan, and it's a quick knit. I mean, when I pick it up and knit it, it's fun to knit, and it goes pretty quickly. And it is by, I think you pronounce it ANKESTRICK. She's got some really great patterns. She's got this one. This one's Great Love. She's got another cardigan that I think is in a bulkier weight, kind of the same pattern. She's got a bunch of different, really pretty patterns. And so that's probably the one that's languished the longest. I think that we cast that on like mid-February. But then I got caught up. I had a couple of test knits that I was working on, and I had to get those off the needles. And then this one's just kind of languished. And there's no big hurry because it is hot. As I said, we are living on the surface of the sun. It is incredibly hot out there, but I think it's going to start cooling down starting today. So yay, that is exciting. My other one that was a knit along as well, that has been on the needles for a little while, I think April, May, somewhere around there, we cast on, and this was a collaboration. This was between our two yarn stores that are in Fayetteville. It was a collaboration between Sweet Skeins and Ozark Knitting Company, and they got together and they donated prizes and stuff like that. And so we cast on the sea glass. It could be any of the sea glass. I chose to do the fingering weight T because I didn't want to be working on a DK long sleeve in the middle of the summer, so it doesn't look like I'm going to get it done this summer, so maybe I should have worked on the DK, but I will do that one eventually. I'm bringing this closer so you can kind of see all the colors. This yarn, the blue up here, the navy blue, this is Knitting for Olive, and it is cotton merino in navy blue, because I did not want merino in the middle of the summer. And then all of these, I have all kinds of different ones. There's some tin Lena that I bought from Letha at Sweet Skeins. There's tin Lena that I had in my stash. There's some BC Garn. I have it is still attached because that's the row I'm working on. This is BC Garn Lino, and obviously it's a hot pink colorway. I don't know which one, but if you find it on the website, it's the only one that's that color. There's some other ones down in here that are BC Garn. Some are in cashmere. I have some drops, cotton stuff in here. I've got Perman. I don't remember which one. they're all pretty much women's names. They're Emma, Hannah, etc. I'm not sure which one this is. It's a cotton cashmere. I have some Tides that's a by Holst Garn, that's a silk merino blend. And then I have some linen and some hemp that are on cones that I bought at just a couple of various places. I don't even know the name of those. Those are just cones. I will link those two stores because they don't just carry, like, they're not certain brands, I don't think. They're like, they get mill ends, and so they put them off on cones, and I've got a couple of those in my stash. So I just am really doing a scrappy project and trying to use up some of my stash yarn. I will get this done, and I am not using a different color every single row. The navy blue is carrying through the entire thing. You can kind of see that, and then you can see where I have started a repeat. So I am repeating the colors, and that'll be all the way down. And I'm doing 2 rows per color. So when you get back around to the end, you'll actually have 2 colors of either the main color or 2 colors of the color that will then switch the ones. Anyway, it's turning out just beautiful. And so that is what I am doing with that. And it is kind of in hibernation right now just because I have the test knit and I have some other things that I'm working on that I want to get finished, which are the things for the kiddos that I talked about last week, the 2 girls and the boy up in Massachusetts. And I have 3 things that I'm working on for them. We'll go in order of age. And this is for the oldest one. This is made out of the Aracuna. It's Hosco Cotton Glitter. And it's a fingering weight yarn. I think it's got a little bit of nylon in it because it's a sock yarn. And this is the one that's mainly like a tealish color, and it's got, you can see pink in there. It's kind of striping, which is interesting to me, but I think it's because it's small circumference right now, and as I get bigger, because you do increases. This is the Sunday Dress by Petite Knit. Oh, and the Sea Glass Tea was by Woolen Pine. I did not say their name, so it is by Woolen Pine. This one is a Petite Knit pattern. It's Sunday Dress, and I am hoping that it'll be a little less stripy as I get down and it increases. I'm trying to get this to where that I can split for sleeves because that's a natural stopping point. So this is what I've been working on recently. And then for Emberlyn, who is the middle child, the youngest girl, the same yarn, a different colorway. And you can really see the glitter in this and how pretty it is. This is the purple colorway with a little bit of pink. You can see those little pink flecks. This is the Anker's dress, also by Petite Knit, and you can see back here it's going to have a button. It's got a little hole, and I have it split for the sleeves. I've done everything up to the skirt, where now I have to start increasing for the skirt, and so that is a logical stopping point for me to get the other one where I need it to be. And before that, I was working on Little Man's. So the Little Man, Isaiah, he is getting the t-shirt number 3 that is by Sandnes Garn. It is knit bottom up, and I am knitting this in the recommended yarn, which is the Sandnes Garn Lena, and it is a viscose cotton linen blend, and it's in this beautiful blue color. And I am making this, you do it bottom up, and then you do the sleeves. You can see the little sleeve I've got going. I'm making it long sleeve, so I've got a few more to go. And so this has been put down. I will get the dress to split for the sleeves. Then I'll pick this back up, finish this sleeve till I need to attach it, and then I'll do the other sleeve. And I will get those done by November with no problem and get them to the kiddos. Another one that's, you know, that's my focus right now. So those haven't been languishing very much. There's another one that kind of is languishing a little bit. And I told you about the 3 of us that do girls trips and everything. Well, I have been knitting. I have knitted us things that go together. I knitted all 3 of us for our last girls trip. We went to Costa Rica with Fruity Knitting and Claudia Quintanilla. And I knitted all 3 of us, and I'll post a picture of the 3 of us over here wearing our sweaters. Little t-shirt tops, whatever you want to call them. I knitted the same pattern for all 3 of us in 3 different colors. And so I decided for this girls trip that will be going on next year, we need project bags that match. So I really love, this is the carpet bag, Mosaic carpet bag by Marie Wallin. And I am using the recommended yarn, which is her yarn, which is Marie Wallin's British Breeds. And I'm using the recommended colors. I just fell in love with it. And I don't often choose the same yarn and the same colors that a designer does, but this time I just could not resist. And so to make them a little unique, I think what I'm going to do, you can see here, you've got this color that repeats. Now this is on the bottom of the bag, but still, you've got this color that repeats. And I think what I will do is on one of them, I will repeat the blue, and on another one, I will repeat the pink. So we have a little bit of difference there. And I am making one for all of us. This is just the first one, the first panel. There's 2 panels, and then you sew them together. So I've got 5 panels left. And this one also, it is a trust the process kind of thing. Look at how beautiful that color work looks. Look how crisp it is. Look how just stunning it is. Well, when I got finished knitting it, it didn't look that stunning. I mean, it looked nice, but it wasn't all I had expected. And I read in the pattern, and it says that you should do a steam block on it. Get yourself a towel. I got a really, really thin dish towel. And so I put it down, and then I used a steam iron, and I steamed over it like it told me to. Whew! Glad I trusted the process, because holy cow, did that make a difference. And it just turned into this beautiful work of art. I try really hard to trust the process whenever a designer says to do something, to knit it a certain way, to knit a certain, do whatever. I do try really hard to trust the process, because I know if I trust the process and I don't like how it looks and I want to change it, I can frog whatever I did and change it the way I want to. If this hadn't turned out, I could have blocked it a different way. I could have done a wet block, but I did not need to. This, the designers typically do know what they're talking about. It's not like that they're building these patterns going, well, I hope nobody knits it the way that I designed it because I don't know what I'm... No! They know what they're doing. They make samples. They do all that. Trust the process. People ask me, how do you get so many things knitted? Aside from being obsessive about knitting, I also trust the process, and I follow what the pattern tells me to do. I don't do a lot of extra math. I usually don't make it in a different size. I don't try to figure out. I have tried to figure out a couple of times, been successful and not so successful once. One of the girls that hangs out at our yarn shop, she's here for the summer. I think her name is Jessie. She's staying with some friends right now, or family, I'm sorry, with, I think it's her aunt and uncle and her cousin. Well, her little cousin's 11, and I tried to help her figure out, based on some gauge magic math, tried to help her figure out what size she should do a Tolsta tee, since I've done so many of them. Well, the 11-year-old cousin is getting this Tolsta tee, but she's really excited about it. So it was her first top. She's very excited that she was able to do this, because the cousin apparently is thrilled about getting this top. So while it was a fail in my math, it wound up being a success in terms of someone really, being excited to get a project. Now, speaking of Tolstas, nobody will be surprised to know that I have cast on my 5th Tolsta of the year. This is made out of Lena. This is regular Lena again. This one's going to be black and white, and it is going to be the long stripes, the wide stripes. And the picture that I downloaded, or that I took a screenshot of for this, is the wide stripes. She has different colors, but just imagine it in black and white. This is my 5th one. I've just gotten it cast on, and the only reason I did it was during Yarn Crawl. There were a couple of ladies at the shop that wanted to cast on, so I was like, yeah, I'll help you, and I'll just cast on one myself so that we'll be going along. I haven't touched it since. I do plan on picking it up. It'll be a really quick knit because it's on a size 8 needles, and I'll get that off quickly. Haven't cast on my 6th one yet. That one is in the plans. Another thing I cast on during the Yarn Crawl, because I am a glutton for punishment, and I love some fingering weight yarn. This is by Petite Knit, and it is going to be the Cumulus tee. It is going to be the V-neck. I love a good V-neck. And I love a good t-shirt pattern that's pretty plain that I can wear with everything. And this color. This is Knitting for Olive. I think the colorway is Haze. It's pure, 100% pure silk. It is their pure silk colorway. Letha just got these in the shop, so I was able to snag some of these and cast that on. I have worked on it a little bit. It's got a 4-row repeat, and so what I do is I'll pick it up and I'll work that 4 rows because that's a logical place to set it down again, and then I know where I'm at. And I pick it up every once in a while and I'll work those 4 rows and I set it down. It will get done. I really hope it gets done before it gets too cold to wear it, but if it's too cold, I'll just wear it and wear like a jacket or something over it. All right, moving right along. This is one I say I trust the designer and I don't make a lot of changes and all. This one is an exception. This is, and I've got it upside down, this is the back piece of the Salty Days sweater by Veronika Lindberg, otherwise known as Kuto Kavika. This is a beautiful pattern, absolutely stunning, and I made one this winter. And I made it a nice creamy white like she has. It's absolutely beautiful, it's stunning. But when I tried it on, before I picked up the sleeves, and so it was just the body was finished, I tried it on and everybody that saw me in it, including myself, went, whoa, that would be a really pretty sleeveless top. I don't wear a lot of sleeveless tops because, you know, I don't necessarily like my arm in this little chicken wing here, but you know what? I'm 55 years old. I have earned the body that I have. It is what it is, and I'm going to wear the things that I like and that I think are pretty. And I really think this is going to be really nice on me. So I'm just going to put aside all my insecurities and I'm going to put this thing on and wear it with pride. But I am going to make it sleeveless. This is the Tick Lena. I talked about the Lena. I talked a little bit about the tin Lena in the sea glass. Well, this is the Tick Lena, which is their thicker base. It is still the cotton linen viscose blend. And this is the color, I think on the website it's called Jolly Blue, but this one has been discontinued, this color. I've never worked with it before, so I can't answer whether I'm going to love it or not, but so far it seems really nice and I can't wait to get it done. And it is a quick knit because this is knit on size 8s, I think, 8s or 9s. Yeah, size 8. And so it's a pretty quick knit. And this is one that I think is a 6-row repeat, so I pick it up, make my 6 rows. I'm almost to the point where it's going to be small enough or long enough that then I'm going to pick up here for the front and then knit down. And then it's got some patterns. I'll put the picture of her, it is long sleeve, just imagine it without the sleeves. Now, another one that has kind of been languishing, and sorry, it fell on the floor. This is Savannah by Martin Storey, and you can see it's kind of got a half twisted rib. I don't know if this would be called fisherman's rib or what it'd be called, because you twist the rib or the knits on this side, but on this side you just plain ribbit, regular knit, regular purl. So I don't know exactly what that stitch is called, but this is the bottom, and it is a pieced sweater, so I have to knit the front and the back. I will be knitting everything flat, and then I'll have to sew it up. I don't mind that so much, but I will tell you, I don't love ribbing. I do not love ribbing, so that's what has really slowed me down on this, because I got to do 4 inches of this, and I think maybe at 2 3/4 or 3 inches. I've got a good, at least another inch on this. That I will get it done, and then I will get up into a beautiful cabled pattern, and that will go quicker, and then it's a V-neck, and as I said, I love a good V-neck. This is knit out of the recommended yarn. This is knit out of, and I've just balled it up because it got all untwisted. This is knit out of the Alpaca Soft DK by Rowan. I bought this actually about three years ago, I think it was, that every year in November I go to a knitting retreat in New Hampshire, and it's always me and Teresa. Sometimes Michelle will come up as well, and we all 3 go. And I think that was a year that we all 3 went, but we always stop at this place in Concord, New Hampshire called The Elegant You. I would link to their shop, but they're not online. They don't sell online, so it's really hard for me to tell you what all they have, but they have great selection. They have Jamieson and Smith, Jamieson and Smith. They have a lot of Rowan. They have Malabrigo. They have some other stuff. They might be online now. I don't think so. I'll go look, and if they are online, if not, I'll just put their name down there. But this is the Alpaca Soft DK, and it is beautiful. I bought a sweater quantity of this because this colorway, and it's really blowing it out. I mean, it is, you can see kind of a little bit of a difference between the ball and what I've knitted. It is a much deeper burgundy than what it's looking like on camera. I fell in love. I was like, I have to knit a sweater out of that. And they were running a special. If you bought the sweater quantity of the yarn, you got a pattern for free. So of course I did that. I've told you I love a good sale. I love a good freebie. So I bought the sweater quantity of yarn. I got the pattern for free. Promptly came home, put it in my stash, and forgot about it until I was doing a stash organization this year. And I found it, and I was like, oh, I've got this whole sweater quantity of this beautiful alpaca rowan yarn. I don't like that sweater pattern. I don't want to make that sweater pattern. So I went and looked, and I found this beautiful free pattern by Martin Storey. It's, on the Rowan website. It's free. It's called Savannah. And it was just beautiful. And it called for this yarn. Well, that was a no-brainer. So that is what I'm knitting out of that yarn. That one, that may take me a while. I'm not in any big hurry. I might be once I get to the cables, because I do love a good cable, and I love doing cables. I seem to love really, complicated, or what looks complicated knitting. I love lace, I love cables, I love color work. It's all easier than it looks. But I do love a good cable pattern, so that one might go faster. Another one that has really been languishing, this one's been on my needles since before February. This might have even been December of last year. This is one, when we went to the retreat in Costa Rica, there were classes that Claudia did about embroidering your knits. And we got the pattern book, it's called Memory Lane. And one of the patterns that she sent out that she was going to teach us how to do was the Monarca. And I chose this color. This is Knitting for Olive. It's merino and soft silk mohair held together. And it is in deep petroleum blue. And I want to bring this a little closer. See the raglan there? That beautiful detail. I love that detail in the raglan. It just makes it a little interesting. And I'm probably not going to embroider on it. I might a little bit, but I'm going to just knit it and wear it and see if I'm missing having the embroidery on there. This is a beautiful pattern. It's a well-written pattern, and it just knits up like a dream. So that's the cool thing about these books, with the embroidery stuff, the Memory Lane, the embroidery by Judith Gimlick, I think is her last name. These patterns are beautiful with or without embroidery, so don't feel like that just because it has embroidery on it in the book that you must do that. You could use a different embroidery pattern, right? You can use one that you like better on a different sweater, but you don't necessarily like the yarn that's in. So you can customize these. I do plan right now just to finish this out, and you can see I've got a lot of the body done. I just need to pick it up and knit it and, get it done. And I will get that done. I will add the sleeves. I might have this done. I won't even say a couple of episodes because there's other things that I've got to get done first. But I hope to have this done by the end of the year. It is a beautiful knit, and I do love that yarn combination. Oh, I'm a sucker for mohair. I have a lot of mohair because mohair is one of those slippery slopes where when you start knitting with mohair, you decide you like mohair. You want mohair in everything. I have a lot of mohair in my stash now. So, I don't knit everything with mohair, but I do knit quite a bit. I do really love that combination. And Knitting for Olive has a fantastic feel with the merino and the soft silk mohair together. It's just beautiful. I have it's not a sweatshirt sweater by Pernille Larson. It's in the Knitting for Olive's book. And I made that out of it, and I wear it all the time in the winter. You might find mohair a little prickly. There's a couple of things to know about it. If you do find it prickly, now, don't blame me if this does not work, but I throw it in my dryer for like 10 minutes or so. And I do it on no heat, or I do it on like delicate where it's really low heat, so I'm not harming it. But it just kind of, that knocks those guard hairs off, and it becomes a little bit softer. But also just with wear and rewashing and stuff, it just gets softer and softer. And now that sweater, I don't even notice. I put it on, I don't even think I have a prickly feel at all. I used to have a little bit of a prickly feel, and then I get used to it and I move on. Well, I am getting good because I can wear Let Lopi right next to my skin. So maybe I'm just developing a tolerance for it, or maybe it really is true that through wear and washing, things do become softer. Take that for what it's worth. If you have if you're sensitive to mohair, there are lots of alternatives, and I will talk about one of them. I'm actually going to have to pause this in just a minute because one of my whips is missing. It is. And so actually I'm going to pause this real quick, and I am back. We will see how good I do splicing these videos together and see if I can make them fairly seamless. I did get up, I went and got my whip. I also got some of the yarn that I didn't realize I hadn't brought in here to talk about from the yarn crawl. So I got myself a little bit more organized. I've got stuff over here. I've got my final whips over here. I just talked about the Costa Rica retreat and about the Monarca by Claudia. I also have one part of going to the retreat. You got a pattern, and you got it before anybody else. It wasn't released when we got it. It has been released since then. And we got a pattern and all of the yarn to make the pattern. Now, full disclosure, she did put mohair in there as the contrast color. As I have shared, I live in the South. We live on the surface of the sun part of the year. I am not putting mohair in my summer top. So I did go and buy a navy blue cotton merino for the contrast, but this is the Sol, S-O-L, so maybe Sol Mosaic Tee by Claudia Quintanilla, and it is just beautiful. You can see this. I haven't gotten a whole lot done on it. I do plan on trying to get this done. I don't know if I'll get it done before the end of the season, but it will definitely be ready for next year. And you can see just how beautiful this is. And this is one of those you knit flat. I've got a few more rows of the pattern to do. And then what I will do is I will pick it up. You can see here I've got some markers. You pick up here, or this is the front, I believe. And then you pick up back here for the shoulders. And you go from there. So I don't know why that's stuck, but it was. But you'll pick up and you do this blue again and then knit down. It was a black mohair. I was happy to get it because I will pair it with something else. And might do, I've got a couple of balls of the Knitting for Olive. I think it's called Licorice. It's a black. I think that's the right name, but anyway, it's a black yarn. It's a black mohair, and I will pair it with something else, and I might do some color work with it or something. But I was not about to put mohair in my summer sweater. I don't care who says that mohair is okay for the summer. They do not live in the southern United States. I would know. So, and maybe I'm wrong. I haven't really tried, but I'm not planning on it either. So like I said, I did buy, this is all Knitting for Olive cotton merino. This is the color cream, and this is the color navy blue. It's been a really nice pattern. It's mosaic. So you're only knitting with one color as you go, and it's knitted up really, really fast. I just cast this on not long ago. I've probably worked on it maybe a couple of days worth, not a whole lot. And it is a beautiful pattern. I can't wait to get it done. My friend Erica that was at the retreat as well, we met her at the retreat, and she's since become a travel partner with me. She's come to Chicago, and we hung out while I was there one of the times for business. She is in the process of making it. She's gotten much further along than I have. She's already split for sleeves and everything else. Like, she's joined it together and around, I guess is what I'm trying to say. She's working on the body. So I can't wait to see her final finished product. And Erica, if you're watching, hey. And again, thank you for sharing this with your sisters. It's kind of exciting to know that somebody, Erica is from the UK, so it's exciting to know that somebody from the UK might have watched this. All right. And moving right along, that's the ones from the retreat. Then I have another one that's kind of been languishing. I decided when I started making all these sweaters and I had stuff left over, I made my very first Monday sweater. I made out of this yarn combination here. I have very little left of this, but this is Holst Garn Coast. I don't remember the name of the colors. It's their black colorway. And then this is their Lucia, which is a yak, wool, silk, alpaca blend. So it's a good alternative for mohair. It's super, super soft. The Coast is their cotton merino. And last year they did a sale on this, and they said that the owner, I think you pronounce it Hele. I don't swear to that. It is Danish. I'm not positive, but anyway, this apparently is her favorite combo of yarn, so they put a sale on it, and I decided I wanted a black sweater, so I bought enough for the Monday sweater, and I had some left over. And I typically have stuff left over from my sweaters. So I decided, you know, a good way to use some of that is to make fingerless gloves. And I have this one, you can see it's just waiting for me to do the thumb and weave in the ends and it'll be done. But this other one, this little thing here, I've been slacking a little bit and it's all tangled up, but I've been slacking a little bit. And so I haven't even split it for the thumb yet. I need to get that done. I'm really playing yarn chicken right now because I only have this much. I'm not ordering another ball of this, so I may have to pull out, either hold the coast double or something. But I want to get this done, and then I will have a pair of fingerless gloves that will go with my Black Monday sweater. And I do plan on, whenever I have yarn left over from all of the sweaters, I plan on making some fingerless gloves. That is the Penny Glove by Petite Knit. Just a quick little pattern that knits up really, really nice, and it's a nice little fit. I can show you. I think I made it a little bit long because the last ones I made too short. So I think I made this one a little bit too long. I think next time I'd make this part maybe a little bit shorter, but maybe not. I might really enjoy it in the winter because while we live on the surface of the sun in the summer, we also have really frigidly cold days in the winter. Some Februaries we get down to a real temperature of -17 and wind chills in the -20s. I think our real temperature record is -24. I know last year we had some -20s for wind chill. That's really cold. So I may really like how tall these are, and I may decide that this is my preferred length. But you can see it's just a really nice little pattern and it fits well. I'll be making many more of these. I have one other pair that I made, and those are 2 different lengths because I did not write down. So this time I did keep track of how many I did. Petite Knit, I know I've said, you know, I really do like her stuff. And I've only got a few more. I've got 2 Petite Knits. I'm going to hold this up. Talked about these last episode. This is the Oslo hat. You see, I haven't made much progress on it. Not a whole lot. I took it out with me. Brandon asked me to come out and help him spray for weeds, so I took it out. And I didn't work on this. I actually worked on a swatch, but I could have worked on this as we would stop because I was, and this is another one of those things, I'm going to age myself. Wild Kingdom used to have Mutual of Omaha used to have Wild Kingdom, and it had Marlin Perkins and a guy named Jim. And we laughed all the time because Marlin Perkins would be, say, in a helicopter going along showing you all the terrain, and he's like, don't worry about me, I'm safe in the helicopter. Jim's down there, however, wrestling an alligator. And we just always laughed at that. If you get a chance, if you go Google Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom, you'll find some videos. They're really good. And there was a lot of really good information on there, but we watched it every week as a family. So that's kind of what I felt like whenever I was helping Brandon, because I was driving the little utility vehicle, right? That he had the big tank of weed killer in the back, and he was walking along behind it spraying the weeds. He did tell me I was not a very good driver and I had drugged him a little bit. I don't know. It's neither here nor there. I was safe in the vehicle and was just driving out. I didn't have to walk around all that. So I was knitting for this, and it did make me think, where's the weirdest place you've ever knit? Leave me a comment and tell me where. You know, the weirdest place I think I've ever knit was in the dentist chair while the dentist had a drill in my mouth and was replacing an old crown for me. I had a sweater that I had just gotten to where I was just knitting in the round. I had split it for sleeves. All I was doing was knit, 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 knit. And so I laid there. I don't have to look. I'm diabetic, so I have this fear. It's unfounded, but a fear of going blind. My diabetes is very well controlled. But I have this fear, so I taught myself how to knit without having to look. So I can just knit without ever looking at it. So I just laid there, mouth open, and I just knit. I just knit. That's all I did. So that's probably the weirdest place I have ever knit. So drop me a line. Tell me the weirdest place that you've ever knit. It'll be interesting to see if anybody's got one even weirder than the dentist. All right, so I'm going to talk about one more Petite Knit pattern because this is the last Petite Knit pattern that I'm working on. And I showed as well last week, and I said, oh, I've got to get this thing split for sleeves because my brother's coming up and I need to be able to try it on him. Well, guess what? It is still not split for sleeves, but I did both measure his yoke depth And I also tried on one of mine. He is a couple of inches longer. Like, he put on my Monday sweater and he was like, okay, mine's about 9. He's about 11. So I know where I need to knit it to. It pretty much follows the pattern, so I'm not worried about that. And I have until I'm going to give this to him at Christmas. I mean, obviously he knows about it if I've shown him and I've tried it on him. So I'm getting that done. And this is knit. I've got a couple of cones of this. This is knit out of Holst Garn Tides, which is a merino silk blend. I think it's a 70-30 blend, 70% merino, 30% silk. It is, again, not superwash merino soft, but it is soft. And I have a couple of sweaters in this, and they're some of my favorite because they're so, like, they just feel luxurious. There's something about that silk in there that just makes it feel so nice. I really like it. I walk around and I'm wearing it. I'm like, oh, this feels so nice. So that is it for the Petite Knit ones. Not yet for all of my whips. Let's see. I have 2 more whips. I have, let me reach behind me to get the one that I went and got. Oh, it fell in the floor. I was like, I know I went and got that, so what the heck. I am making a ranunculus sweater. Right, who isn't? I already have 2 of these short sleeve, but I decided I wanted a long sleeve, and I wanted to hold some different yarn together. So I am holding the Holst Garn Lucia, which, as I said, is the alpaca, yak, silk, wool blend. I'm holding that with Sandnes Garn Lena. So a cotton viscose linen blend, and it is so soft and squishy, and it's just knitting up beautifully. The stitch definition is turning out really nice, and I really like this pattern. There's no, it's not a surprise why it winds up in the hot right now every time. It turns up in the top 10 of most knitted things. There's been like 30,000, almost 30,000 project pages created, and that's just project pages created. That's not how many people have knitted them, because I don't have project pages for the other 2 I knit. So it is a super popular pattern, and there is a reason why. It is a very well written pattern. I will say there is some confusion whenever you first start casting on and stuff, and I think this is a translation issue, but there is somebody, it's dragging somebody. I'll link it below. I'll link the tutorial. She has a full tutorial on how you do all of these, and I went and watched her for the cast on part, and it really helped out. It really made it really nice. Midori Hirose, which is who that pattern is by, Ranunculus by Midori Hirose, she has videos for all of these things. The cast on one, I was just a little confused by. But the other videos for like the increases and stuff, the right leaning increase and the inserting into a different area to do another increase, I watched her videos for all of those, and those were just fine. So she makes it really nice, and she's got a lot of support to get that pattern done. It is just a beautiful pattern. And then, last but not least, and I did show this last time as well, this is the Emmanuel T by, it's Johanna Gerswich, I think is how you say her last name, also known as Calibri by Johanna. And I told y'all last time, and I did put a little thing across, I did figure out how to put text across, that this pattern is no longer available for free at Hobie, and so I'm sorry about that. It is a paid pattern both places. I think if you have Hobie Plus, which I don't understand how that works, it's some kind of subscription service. If you have that, I think it's still free, but you have to have a paid subscription for it to be free. It's not that bad. I think it's $9 US, which is pretty standard for a pattern. And as I shared, it is a little bit confusing, and you really do have to read the whole thing to get it. But once you figure out what she's trying to tell you, it knits up very nice. And I have split for sleeves now. Look at that lace pattern. Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. And then the front is simply a V-neck, right? And as I've shared, I'm a sucker for a good V. So that is my Emmanuel T. I'm making it out of the Hobie soft, or no, it's called Friends Cotton Silk. Friends Cotton Silk. And it is a 70-30, I think, or a 70-25 blend. And that is the color Oat Milk. I know last time I think I said oatmeal. It's Oat Milk. And I do have some other colorways in that, and I will talk about them whenever I start knitting with them. I have 3 other colorways and 2 more that I want to buy. It's a really nice yarn, and they put it on sale quite often for like $4. It's a nice yarn. I love yarn, and I support yarn from all over the place. So that is that, and with that, my whip parade is done. Those are all of the things that I am currently working on. Now, I know that I said I was doing another test knit with the little elks, and I'm going to put a picture right here. Amanda did reach back out to me. This is her very first pattern, and it is beautiful. Hopefully she will have good luck with this, and she will do more patterns. I do know she's looking for more testers on Yarn Pond, and due to a change in circumstances, I actually had to drop out of the test knit. Amanda, if you are watching this, I'm so terribly sorry I had to do that. And if my circumstances change again, then I will contact you. If not, I will just buy the pattern when it comes out, and I do plan on knitting it. So, having said that, she does also have a YouTube channel. She apparently camps a whole lot. She's got Amanda Outside as her YouTube channel. I'm not a camper. I am not roughing it. I am just not. Roughing it to me would be having the camper set up, having air conditioner in there, having the stove, having everything, and I still wouldn't love it. I want to be in a hotel. I'm soft. I admit it. But I did go and watch a couple of the videos, and they look really interesting. If you're into camping at all, you should go check that out because it is pretty cool. And so, as I said, she's on Yarn Pond. She did do a request for testers over there, so it is due, I think it's like the 25th of October or something. I know it's in October when it's due. So if you have time and you have the inclination to knit it, it would be great if you went over there and signed up for the test knit. And if not, right, everybody understands. Everybody's busy. All right, having said that, if you are leaving because you don't want the yarn acquisitions or my personal, I will say thank you and ask you to do all of the things like subscribe, share, notifications, all of the wonderful YouTube goodies. And I will see you on the next one. If you're staying with me for the yarn, as I told you, Arkansas Yarn Crawl was last year, and it is the entire state. Last year, Henrietta and Michelle and I, we went down to Little Rock. And we hit, well, it wasn't Little Rock, it was Hot Springs, but Central Arkansas. We hit, I forget the names. Anyway, there's one in Arkadelphia, one in Malvern, and one in Hot Springs. We hit all 3 of those, and then we hit the Mina store on the way back up, and of course did the 2 that were up here at that time. We didn't do Paragould, and we didn't do, I think it was Magnolia was the other one. They are no longer in business, so they weren't part of it this year. That was a long day. We left the house at like 5 a.m. and didn't get home till 9. Of course, I did get pulled over twice, once for speeding and once for having a tail light out. Got out of both tickets because when I mentioned we were on a yarn crawl, these guys were like, what? It's a yarn crawl. And so I explained it. I think that's why we got out of it, because I'm sure they went home and told their wives, oh my gosh, we pulled over this car of old ladies and they had been on a yarn crawl. Did you know there was such a thing? So I got warnings on those. And did watch my P's and Q's after that, but it was a long day. So this year I decided I was only going to the 2. There is a 3rd shop that has opened up in Bentonville, Yarn Alchemy. I have nothing against that shop. I just was not interested in driving anywhere. I was going to go to the 2 that are local to me, that are within like 10, 15 minutes of my house. I was not driving 30 miles. So I did not. I just stayed at home. Now, having said that, I did enough damage just staying at home. And I'll start out, and don't let this be like, oh, you bought so much more from one shop than you did the other. You must love them more. It's not that. It's what I wanted, right? And Letha got Knitting for Olive this year. And I love me some Knitting for Olive. So a lot of what I bought was Knitting for Olive. They just don't carry it at Ozark Knitting Company. But they do carry one that I love and that I did buy a sweater quantity of. And that is Rowan Felted Tweed. This is the color Treacle. And I originally said that my plan was to make the Nivea sweater by Zanette Knits. I decided because I don't love the little blue specks in it. Let me see if I can get that blue back on in the frame. Okay, I'm not going crazy. There was a blue. There it is. So there's a little bit of blue and more white than I wanted. I wasn't sure that it would look that, it would work up the way I wanted it. I think it would look fine, but it's a cabled Henley sweater. And I didn't think that it would work up quite like I wanted. So I changed my mind. This is going to be a Monday sweater. I do have plans for all of this. This is going to be a Monday sweater. And I did buy, as I said, a sweater quantity of this. And then the other things that I bought there, let's see. I bought, so this is again, collaboration between the yarn shops. Letha, as I shared, is a hand dyer. She dyes her own. She dyed this colorway exclusively for Ozark Knitting Company. And it is called, the colorway is called, I don't know. I think it's Fall in the Ozarks or something like that. Melissa or Carrie, or if y'all are watching this and y'all know, please comment and let me know. Or Letha, whoever knows the colorway of this. They did sell out of this, so there's not any more available until next year. I'm sure that they will do this again. It's just stunning colors. I bought the DK weight. I'm going to do probably an Oslo hat out of it. Maybe a, what's that other hat that everybody makes? I cannot think of the name of it. We'll see if it pops into my head. If not, I'm going to link it below. But it is a hat that you basically just knit a tube and then bind it off. I'll do one of those two hats out of this. Another hat that I'm going to do is I got this, which is, this is Queensland Tenderfoot. So it's a merino blend. It is merino and polyamide. So it's a sock yarn. I am going to hold these two together and make another hat. I don't think that holding this with the DK weight would work because they're both variegated and I just think it would muddy things. So I really think with this mohair, holding it together with a solid and a nice neutral color. I could also hold it like with this orange or with this blue or, you know, these colors, but I chose just a white. I want to really let that pop and shine. So I bought that from Ozark Knitting Company. And then, like I said, Knitting for All of Us now at Letha's store. So that is Danger Will Robinson Danger for me. So I bought, and these are all sweater quantities, this pure silk, and this is ballerina pink. This is going to be another Cumulus tee. This is the color that I actually was going to cast on first, but Letha had not gotten this color in. I think they were out the first time she ordered, so she had to reorder and ordered some. I want a Cumulus tee. I'm not going to do the round neck, I don't think. I really like a V-neck, so if that silver one turns out like I want, I can see that one being an exception to my not knitting more than one rule as well. I may have to have it in multiple colors. Definitely in the silver and the pink. Then, oh my gosh, look at this. This is going to be Tox Knits pattern. Again, I will link it, and I have just drawn a complete and total blank. She has a YouTube channel, and she has just started designing this Zuri sweater. That's what it's called, the Zuri sweater. It's her first design. It's really pretty. It's got a cabled raglan and then some cables, I think, down the side and the ribbing and stuff. I was originally going to make it out of something else. I was going to make it out of this poppy blue, but I want it out of this color. The poppy blue is what she knitted it out of, and it's stunning. And who knows, if this becomes an exception, I'll knit it out of the poppy blue as well. Let me just pick that up since I seem to be butterfingers today. But I will hold those together. This is the Knitting for Olive Merino and the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, or not Pure Silk, but Silk Merino, or Silk Mohair. I can speak today too. And these are both in the color Blue Tipped. I did, as you saw, I bought Poppy Blue. I already had the mohair for this. And as I said, the plan originally was to do the Zuri sweater. I'm changing that plan. If I decide to knit a second one, I'm going to be honest, there aren't very many that do get my exception because I have so many I want to knit. But this will be held with mohair and turn into something else. Probably a nice little cable-y design. Maybe lace. Not sure. I'll look around and find something that this will fit. Another one that I already had the mohair for is this knitting, this is Knitting for Olive No Waste Wool, and this is in the color Slate Green, and I already had the Slate Green in the mohair. This being so dark, it will probably just be a regular raglan of some sort, a V-neck or whatever. There probably won't be a lot of design in it because it would really get lost in this really dark color. But I'm going to hold it with the mohair, and I'm going to knit most likely a raglan, maybe a plain drop sleeve. We'll see, but it'll be something fairly plain. And then last but not least for my Knitting for Olive, this is the soft silk mohair, and this is in the colorway Cherry Blossom. I bought a sweater quantity of the, I think it's called Cloud for the merino and Cherry Blossom for this, because somebody mentioned that it was the most beautiful, stunning colorway held together. And I bought it. I bought one of each. I swatched with it. It is stunning. So I decided I need a sweater quantity. And I'm going to make one of the Sorry Nordland sweaters out of it. I think it's a cable lace pattern. But because I had this, and I have some of Letha's hand-dyed yarn, and I mentioned I wanted to make a sorrel by Wool and Pine. I've got the short-sleeved one. I wore it my very first episode whenever I did the intro. I want to make it long-sleeved, and I'm going to hold this with her hand-dyed and make that. So I did buy what I needed for this because I didn't want to steal from the other one, because I do plan on using that yarn for that top. Now that's it for the Knitting for Olive. I do have a couple of other things I bought. I bought, to finish out my ranunculus, right? I bought, this is the Lucia. The colorway is, I think it's Poseidon. Yeah, this is Poseidon. This is the Lena by Sandnes Garn. I'm holding those two together. And this colorway just has a number. It's 6531. So I'm holding those two together. So I bought all of this. I also have plans to hold this with a Drops alpaca and knit a lento out of. And I went ahead and bought all of that I think I need out of this. So I cleared her out of this color. And then I just bought one of these, and that's a little story that I'll get into in the personal. And I'll tell you how I'll end up with 2 more balls of that. Lena, again, Sandnes Garn. I did share I'm making a black and white Tolsta tee in the wide stripes. So I bought, a couple of these. You can see I've got some more up there. I bought some of these so that I can finish out that t-shirt. And then, and these were on sale because these are discontinued as well. And I have been eyeballing these colors for a while. So I bought some Queensland. This is recycled tweed. This blue color is going to most likely become another Juno DK. It is a test knit that I did for the Knit Pearl Girl. And she made that pattern for Tweedy Yarns to Shine. I think that might, if it doesn't become that, it'll become a Monday sweater. But you can kind of see it's got some little tweedy bits. Not a whole lot in this one. Now this next one is the only one I don't have a true plan for. I know it will be some type of sweater, whether it's a Monday sweater, maybe I make it into a Juno instead of the other. I don't know what I'm gonna make it out of, but this is beautiful. And this is the colorway Licorice, and it's kind of, this looks browner than it is. This is more of a burgundy. And so I bought that. And then last but not least, for the Nivea sweater that I talked about, I actually decided to do it out of this color. It is a little tweedy, but not near as tweedy, and it doesn't have the blues and stuff in there. I will obviously swatch for it, and if I don't like how it turns out, then I'll pivot, and then I'll just repurpose this for something else. That is all my yarn that I'm going to talk about this week. And now I am going to move on to personal. Again, if you want to exit right now, I won't get my feelings hurt. I know not everybody cares about the YouTuber's life. I am a weirdo and I do. But I'm going to pivot to that. And so again, like, subscribe, notifications, etc. Now, I have some hard news to share as part of my personal life. I got laid off yesterday. There won't be a lot of yarn acquisitions in my future right now because I just am not going to have the discretionary funds. I do have a severance package coming. I understand from a business aspect of why they did it. I worked for a consulting firm, and consulting right now is slowed down. I understand you can't continue to pay for somebody if they don't have a client. I get that. I'm hurt, right? I'm obviously hurt. This is my work family. I love them. I don't have anything against them. I'm scared. I'm 55 years old and I have to try to find a new job. So if you do know anything out there, any kind of leads, agile coaching, scrum master, any kind of agile stuff I can do, product manager, please drop me a line. And that's the biggest thing that's been going on. Other than that, you know, Brandon came over and he installed the shelf for me this week, and then I fixed a nice dinner and we ate that. That was Tuesday, so the night before all of this happened. And then I did go out this weekend. I helped him with the weeds and hung out with him for a little while. That was nice. My brother came in this weekend. We had a very nice visit. We cooked out. So I've got a lot of leftovers. I've got a lot of food in the pantry and in the freezer. I mean, I'm not going to starve to death. Like I said, I'm getting a severance package. I have savings. I will be okay, and my brain knows I will be okay. Every other part of me is freaking out and I'm in panic mode. So if you do pray, if you'll say a little prayer for me, I do have faith and I know that God has something in store for me and that it will most likely be better than anything I could imagine. The last time that I went through it, I was unemployed for 7 months. This is different. I didn't get laid off then. Part of contracting is sometimes you just don't get a contract renewed, and that's what that was. And I was waiting on an offer from the company that I wound up working for the past almost 5 years. I was waiting for an offer, and then COVID happened and everything got shut down, so I was unemployed for 7 months. But God, in all his wisdom, my dad died the next year, and I got 7 months. He lived with me, so I got 7 months to spend with him. So I know that there's a reason behind this. I'm just scared because while I do have a lot of faith, I'm a human being as well. So, but that leads me to, and this I'm probably really going to cry, and I just can't help myself with this yarn. I went to the yarn shop yesterday. I needed to be around people who loved me and would support me and comfort me, and of course they did. The ladies just loved all over me, and I could not have asked for better support than I got. I made a comment about that. One of the things I regretted, had I known this was all going to happen, now I'm glad I didn't because I might not have bought anything at the yarn crawl, but I said, you know, if I'd known, I would have bought the rest of the Lena that I needed for finishing my ranunculus. I went ahead and bought the more expensive yarn, and I decided the Lena is very reasonably priced. I didn't know if I needed 1 or 2 more balls, so I would just wait and I would buy it later, and it was no big deal. Well, I'm not spending any money on yarn right now. I do not have any discretionary funds at this point. And so I just made a comment about it. And Jordan and Dana, 2 of the ladies that I hang out with, they each bought me a ball. And so now I have enough to finish that ranunculus. And guys, you have no idea how much it meant to me and what that did for me yesterday. I love all of my ladies at the knitting shop. I know that they love me, and it was extremely thoughtful and really did make a big difference to me. It made a really hard day just a little bit easier. So now I'm going to stop talking about this because I said I wasn't going to cry on camera, and then that just went away. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot of things going on. Michelle is going to come down and knit with us on Saturday, and we're going to go out to lunch afterwards. And other than that, I'm trying to take a little bit of time to process. I'm trying not to completely knee-jerk. I did apply for a bunch of jobs yesterday and then realized, I'm going to apply for unemployment. I need to have some jobs to apply for during my unemployment time. Hopefully something will come through. I will also be meeting with a company that specializes in this, helping people, with their LinkedIn, with their resume, etc. So I'll be meeting with them, and I'll apply with that new resume, and I'll get my LinkedIn updated and everything. I'm not the only one going through this. 20 of us were laid off yesterday, and I live in Walmart world, and I know there was a big layoff back in May, I think it was. I know there was another separation before that, but I don't think it was a huge riff. I think it was some getting rid of departments. Doesn't matter. People lost their jobs both times. And so I know that other people are in this boat with me. It's a scary boat to be in, but this too shall pass, as one of my cousins reminded me yesterday, that we are living in a weird little time right now, but this too shall pass. I am very lucky that I don't have a lot of debt. My house is my only debt. So I will be able to look at my finances and, you know, not be quite so desperate to get the same pay that I had before. Not to say that I don't want it, because it was nice having that much discretionary income, but I can take a lower paying job. And that does make me more fortunate than a lot of people, and I realize that. So having said that, I do feel like I'm blessed. I have wonderful children. I have wonderful friends, and I will get through this. Thank you for, you know, hanging out with me if you hung out with me to the end. And hopefully I will see you in a few days. I think I'm going to do a video about the importance of swatching and blocking. And I will get that out there. I don't know what I have done. Oh, there it is. It fell. I lose this little thing. It's just this little remote that allows me to turn the camera on and off so I don't have to reach up there. But it keeps falling in the floor, so it doesn't do me a lot of good. But having said that, now that it's in my hot little hand, I'm going to end the video. And I do thank y'all for hanging out with me, and we'll see how well my editing goes. Leave me some comments. What's your weirdest place you've ever knit? And leave me some comments about, you know, what you think I can improve on. And if there's anything you think I'd, you know, did I talk too much about personal stuff, telling my stories? Did the splicing of the videos, was it like, whoo, that was really harsh and jarring? Did I get the picture-in-picture wrong, right? Give me some feedback, because again, if I don't know something's not working, I can't fix it. So, thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and I will see you probably in a few days, but for sure next week.